Hey there! Ever catch yourself wishing you could, swap out those pesky negative thoughts? Trade them in for something a little more, empowering.
You're so not alone. And that's exactly why we're diving deep into the world of affirmations today.
We're cracking open affirmation basics to see what science actually says about the power of positive thinking and those "you are what you think" mantras.
It's wild how often we just don't realize how many thoughts are bouncing around up there.
We're talking upwards of 50,000 thoughts every single day.
Whoa, wait, 50,000? That's like a new thought every other second.
No wonder our brains feel like they're running a marathon by dinner time. But hold on, it's not just the sheer number of thoughts, right?
You got it. It's the content of those thoughts. Research actually suggests that a big chunk of those thoughts, we're talking 80% for many people, are straight up negative.
It's this constant undercurrent of self-doubt and criticism that we might not even be aware of.
So we're basically swimming in negative self-talk without even realizing it.
Pretty much.
Okay, that right there is the compelling case for exploring affirmations, don't you think?
Totally. Now, picture your subconscious mind like this massive control center, right? It's quietly running the show behind the scenes, shaping your thoughts, your emotions, even your actions.
Affirmations, they basically shine a spotlight on those subconscious patterns, bringing them into your conscious awareness.
So it's like hitting the pause button on autopilot, those negative thoughts running in the background and actually seeing what's up. I like it.
Exactly. And once you're aware of those negative thought patterns, well, then you can start to challenge them.
You can start to rewire them.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do affirmations actually lead to real change? I mean, thinking positive thoughts, it's not exactly magic, right? It doesn't just magically solve all our problems.
Well, it's not magic, but there's actually some interesting research out there. Some studies have shown that positive self-talk can have a real measurable effect on our bodies.
Get this, there's been studies showing a link between positive self-talk and increased muscle strength.
Wait, hold up. You're saying that by just changing their thoughts, people actually got physically stronger. How is that even possible?
Isn't that wild?
It really highlights this powerful connection between the mind and body. And the cool part, that's just one example. Affirmation Basics dives into a whole bunch of techniques that leverage this connection for personal transformation.
Okay, you've definitely got me hooked. Let's unpack some of those techniques. What's the first method Affirmation Basics talks about?
They start with the foundation affirmations themselves.
These are simple positive statements you repeat regularly, almost like you're, rewiring your internal programming.
Okay, so instead of saying something like, "Ugh, I'm so bad at remembering names," I'd say, "I have a great memory and easily recall people's names." Something like that.
Exactly. It might feel, a little weird at first.
But the thing is, consistency is key. You keep repeating those positive statements, and eventually, your subconscious mind kind of starts to accept them as true.
We're actually rewiring our brains.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm with you. So it's not about, forcing ourselves to believe every affirmation right off the bat.
Right.
It's more about gently, consistently introducing those positive thoughts, giving them space to take root and grow over time.
Precisely. Now, Affirmation Basics also digs into something called affirmative prayer.
Which, I know, it can sound a little confusing at first. It's not about begging a higher power for things in the traditional way.
Okay.
It's more about aligning yourself with what you want, acting as if it's already real.
Okay, I see how that could be a little tricky to wrap your head around. Got any examples to help illustrate the difference?
Totally. Let's say you really want to land a fulfilling new job, right?
Mm-hmm.
A traditional prayer might be "Please God, help me find a job that I love." Something like that.
Right.
But an affirmative prayer, that's more "I am so grateful for my fulfilling and rewarding new job." You're basically already expressing gratitude for it.
Wow, okay, so it's about shifting your mindset from "I don't have this" or "I need this" to "I already have this," even if it's not physically here yet.
Exactly.
It's almost like sending out a signal, maybe to the universe, maybe just to yourself, that you're ready, you're open, you're aligned with receiving what you desire.
And speaking of the universe, Affirmation Basics also gets into this whole concept of cosmic ordering.
Okay, now that's the one that always makes me, a little skeptical. It sounds a bit,
Out there.
Yeah. What exactly is cosmic ordering, and how does it fit into all of this self-improvement stuff we've been talking about?
Basically, it's about aligning your energy with what you want to bring into your life, right?
Okay.
You get clear on what you want, you truly believe it's possible, and then you kind of just let it go. Trust the universe will deliver.
So it's not about just wishing on a star and then sitting back waiting for something to magically happen. You're still actively working towards your goals.
For sure. It's recognizing that you have a hand in shaping your reality, that your thoughts and beliefs play a part in it.
That makes a lot more sense. So we've got affirmations, affirmative prayer, cosmic ordering. Anything else in affirmation basics? What other techniques do they explore?
Get ready to tap into your imagination, because they also talk about the power of creative visualization. This one is all about using your mind to create mental pictures that evoke real emotions and feelings.
Oh yeah, like athletes picturing themselves winning a race.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, nailing a difficult move in their sport.
Yes, exactly, you got it. It's about creating a multi-sensory experience in your mind. You're not just seeing it, you're hearing it, smelling it, feeling it. Like your desired outcome is happening right now.
Okay, so if I'm going for, say, a promotion at work, I might visualize myself giving this amazing presentation, totally owning it.
Yes.
And then, like, shaking my boss's hand, maybe seeing that email pop up in my inbox saying congratulations. I even try to feel that feeling of like, yes, I did it.
That's it, you're getting it.
And it's not just some woo-woo thing either. Neuroscience is showing us that our brains, they kind of have a hard time telling the difference between something we're vividly imagining and something that's actually happening. Something to do with mirror neurons. These things in our brains that fire both when we do an action and when we watch someone else doing that same action.
So the more we visualize ourselves successfully handling a situation, the more we're basically giving our brains a practice run, getting them ready to react that way in real life.
Exactly. It's like giving your subconscious a blueprint for success.
I love it. Okay, so we've got creative visualization. What else?
Affirmation Basics also mentions mantras. Now, you probably think of like meditation when you hear mantra.
Yeah, like Om or something, like those chants you hear in yoga.
Exactly. But mantras, they can be simple words, even just sounds. You repeat them silently or out loud to kind of quiet your mind, shift your focus to something more positive.
So it's not necessarily about like the literal meaning of the words, but more about the vibe they create.
Yeah, exactly.
The energy.
It's about finding what resonates with you, what helps you connect with that sense of peace or focus.
This has been amazing. I mean, we've covered so much ground today, from like the science of our thoughts to all these cool techniques for shifting our mindset.
But I gotta say, it's a lot to take in, you know, especially for someone who's just dipping their toes into the world of affirmations. Where do you even start?
You know, that's such a good point. And Affirmation Basics really stresses that this isn't about like a complete life overhaul overnight.
You don't have to turn into some like mantra chanting, vision boarding guru all at once.
Right.
Start small. Maybe pick like one or two techniques that really speak to you.
Instead of trying to juggle everything at once, focus on really mastering those couple of techniques, the ones that feel, you know, natural and like exciting to try.
Exactly. And don't forget, consistency is everything. It's like building a muscle.
Right. It takes time and effort to see those gains. Speaking of Affirmation Basics, Ashley suggests some cool, practical ways to make these techniques stick. Like, try writing down your affirmations every day.
Oh, I like that.
Or like makes little reminder cards and put them around your house, you know, where you'll see them.
You could even work them into your meditation practice if you have one.
Those are great tips. I'm all about writing things down.
Yeah.
I feel like when I physically write it, it's like it makes it more real, you know?
Absolutely. It's like you're making this tangible agreement with yourself.
Totally.
And speaking of making it real, Affirmation Basics also points out the power of connecting those positive attributes to specific goals.
Okay, tell me more about that. I'm curious. What do you mean?
So let's say your goal is to quit smoking, which, by the way, huge win if that's your goal.
Instead of just saying, I am a non-smoker, you might say something like, I am strong and determined, and I choose to live a healthy, smoke-free life.
Yeah.
You're connecting that affirmation to something powerful you already have inside you.
So you're tapping into that like inner well of strength to fuel those changes. I love that.
Exactly. You're reminding yourself of your own power to create the life you want.
This has been so eye-opening, seriously. But, you know, I'm sure some people listening are thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but is it really that simple? You know, like it seems almost too good to be true. What would you say to those listeners who are maybe a little skeptical about the power of all this?
Honestly, it's good to be skeptical. Like with any self-improvement thing, you got to approach it with a critical eye. And look, affirmations, they're not about magic, right? It's not wishful thinking. It's about intentionally shifting your perspective, making your actions line up with the things you want to achieve.
It's kind of like, you know how elite athletes use visualization? They picture themselves, I don't know, crossing the finish line, nailing that shot. It's not that just picturing it makes them win, obviously, but it prepares them, it gets them in the zone. Affirmations, they kind of do the same thing.
Wow.
They help you build this like more positive and powerful internal environment, and that can really influence your choices, your actions.
I love that analogy. So it's a tool. Like any tool, it's about using it the right way, being aware of any potential downsides.
Exactly.
Because there's got to be some things to watch out for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Affirmation Basics even talks about how if you're not careful, like if your affirmations aren't phrased in a helpful way, they can actually be counterproductive.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Like using absolute statements, like no matter what, especially with things like weight loss, it can create resistance, even backfire.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about being mindful of the language we're using, making sure those affirmations feel supportive and encouraging, not restrictive or overwhelming.
Exactly. You got to work with your subconscious, not against it.
I love that. So much wisdom in that. Well, listeners, we have done some serious deep diving today. We've explored the science behind our thoughts, uncovered all sorts of techniques for transforming that inner chatter, and we even tackled some of the skepticism that comes with this stuff. As we wrap up, what's the biggest takeaway you'd leave us with today?
It's simple, really. If our thoughts have the power to impact our physical and mental well-being that much, imagine what we can do when we consciously use that power for good, for growth, for healing, for living richer, more fulfilling lives. That's the real power here.
That is such a powerful thought, and the perfect note to end on. Listeners, if you're feeling even a little bit inspired, I challenge you, pick one or two of these techniques we talked about and give them a shot. You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself, about your own inner strength. And hey, if you're up for it, share your journey with us. Let us know how it goes. Until next time, everyone, keep those positive vibes flowing.